Okay, so we've just had some pretty big news come out from Nick Gillard, who we've spoken about multiple times, the stunt coordinator on the prequel trilogy. He reveals there are some unused Star Wars scenes from episodes 1, 2 and 3, particularly Revenge of the Sith, which fans wouldn't believe. And now we have the exclusive details of what those scenes were, or should I say some of them. Now, I will point out, this has nothing to do with the known deleted scenes, this has nothing to do with unrendered CG of General Grievous or Obi-Wan, which I've covered in the past. This primarily concerns Order 66 and Anakin vs Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Nick Gillard, who also played the Jedi Sindralig, which is really important, revealed in a new interview that George Lucas filmed so much footage there are, quote, 3 more movies left on the cutting room floor across the 3 films. 3 extra movies of unused footage which no one has seen. This corroborates previously revealed information about Revenge of the Sith, which claims there was an original cut over 4 hours long. Nick then goes on to give us a few examples, saying there is a version of the scene that was filmed featuring Anakin grabbing Obi-Wan from the throat, disarming him, and saying, "I'm really sorry you have to be killed." Anakin then proceeded to try to cut Obi-Wan's head off. Oh my goodness. A move which was then deflected by Obi-Wan to cut Anakin's arms off. Gillard goes on to state, he and the team hated the infamous high ground scene in episode 3, when Obi-Wan shouts, "It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground," and Gillard says they campaigned as hard as they could to have George Lucas change it, but he was persistent and was having none of it. And we've now learned that line of dialogue was Steven Spielberg's idea. So this is an example of something you're going to see more later in the video. Revenge of the Sith was originally much darker and much more gruesome. So before the high ground inclusion, when Obi-Wan swipes down Anakin as he leaps in the air, it was going to be the Jedi Master and his former Padawan turned Sith, locked in battle. Instead of Anakin saying, "This is the end for you, my master," he was going to look Obi-Wan in the face and say, "I'm really sorry you have to be killed." He then goes for Obi-Wan's head, but then intelligently, Obi-Wan deflects it to cut off Anakin's arms and hands. A bit of a deja vu for Anakin, considering what Dooku did to him in Attack of the Clones. But you know, the final version of Revenge of the Sith did still have the gory nature of Anakin being chopped down by Obi-Wan, losing his other arm and both legs, and then burning on Mustafar. Nonetheless, I'm glad this weird bit of dialogue from Anakin was cut, and the attempted beheading of Obi-Wan. I kind of prefer the version they went with. Then the next big detail is during Order 66. So remember when Obi-Wan goes to watch the security tapes from the Jedi Temple, Yoda tries to warn him. We then see the hologram of Anakin, now Darth Vader, fighting Sindralig, who is Nick Gillard's Jedi Master character, alongside Padawans Bene and Wee. Obi-Wan then sees his former Padawan, the boy he trained, pledges allegiance to Darth Sidious. Gillard reveals originally we were going to see a more extended version of that fight. It was much darker, and if you ever played the Revenge of the Sith game, you probably know this version of events pretty well. Nick reveals in the original version, Anakin stabs a small girl right through the throat, holds her by it while he grabs another one. Gillard recalls, quote, "It was nasty." So that is more or less what he revealed about episode 3. But one of the final questions he was asked is if he would ever return to choreograph fight scenes for upcoming Star Wars shows, if he was offered. Gillard emphatically responds, "Of course I would." So here's the thing, my dear friends. Following the comments by Nick, I want to return to the novelization of Revenge of the Sith and show you just how dark the security tape scene is. We never got to see Obi-Wan's true pain. He watched on and said, "It can't be. It can't be," before Yoda tells him the boy he trained, gone he is, consumed by Darth Vader. But there is much more in the book, and Obi-Wan's agony is so tragic. There is so much more context that is missing that Matthew Stover fleshes out. Back at the main holocom center of the Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan used the Force to reach into the shell of the recall beacon's mechanism. He subtly altered the pulse calibration and changed the message from "come home" to "run and hide." Done without any visible alteration, it would take the troopers quite a while to detect the recalibration, and longer still to reset it. This was all that could be done for any surviving Jedi of Order 66. A warning to give them a fighting chance. Obi-Wan turned from the recall beacon to the internal security scans. He had to find out something important, exactly what he was warning them against, for until now, he was left in the dark. Do this not. Yoda insisted. Leave we must. Before discovered, we are. Master, I have to see it, Obi-Wan said grimly, looking down. Knowing is one thing, seeing is another. Yoda lowered his gaze. Seeing this will only cause you pain. Then it is pain that I've earned. I will not hide from it, Master Yoda. Obi-Wan keyed a code that brought up a holoscan of the Room of 1,000 Fountains. I'm not afraid, Obi-Wan said. Yoda's eyes narrowed to green-gold slits. Stone-faced, Obi-Wan watched as Jedi younglings ran into the room, fleeing a storm of blaster fire. He watched Sindralig and a pair of teenagers, backing into the scene, blades whirling, cutting down the advancing clones with deflected bolts. He watched a lightsaber blade flick into the shot, cutting down first one Padawan, then the other. He watched the brisk stride of a caped figure who hacked through Dralig's shoulder, then stood aside as the old troll fell, dying to let the rest of the clones blast the children to shreds. Astounded, Obi-Wan's expression never flickered. He opened himself to what he was about to witness. He was ready, centered, and trusting in the Force. And yet, the caped man turned to meet a cloaked figure behind him. Obi-Wan, now staring, wished he had had the strength to rip his eyes out his head. But even blind, he would see this and remember it forever. He would see his friend, his student, his own brother, turn and kneel before a black-cloaked Lord of the Sith. His head rang with a silent scream. And then he heard the voice of Anakin, but it was not the voice of the boy he once knew. The traitors have been destroyed, Lord Sidious, and the archives are secured. Even our ancient holocrons are again in the hands of the Sith. The Sith Lord purred. Good. Together we shall master every secret of the Force. You have done well, my new apprentice. Do you feel your power growing, Lord Vader? Anakin, still kneeling, responds, Yes, my master. Lord Vader, your skills are unmatched by any Sith before you. Go forth, my boy, Lord Sidious snarled. Go forth and bring peace to our new empire. Obi-Wan fumbled, but managed to somehow shut down the holoscan. He was now blind with pain. Yoda was sympathetic and told him, Warned, you were. Obi-Wan looked at Yoda. I should have let them shoot me. He recalled Cody's betrayal on Utapau when Order 66 was initiated. I should have let them shoot me, Master Yoda. Then he reminisced of the past, but that was already too late. It was already too late at Geonosis. And then he remembers Darth Maul, the Zabrak, on Naboo, he says. I should have died there instead of Master Qui-Gon. Before I ever brought Anakin here, it should have been me. Stop this, you will. Yoda gave him a stick jab to the ribs. Make a Jedi fall, one cannot, beyond even the evil Sidious. Chose this path, Skywalker did. Your fault, it is not. There are many moments like this throughout the book, but also deleted scenes and unused ideas, which flesh out some of the most important scenes. I would love to see the 4-hour cut, were it ever to be made, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. Another really dark moment that comes to mind is the death of Aayla Secura on Felucia during Order 66. We know the clones kept shooting, but did you know Barriss Offee was there too? Obviously, Barriss' story is now different in Star Wars canon, both in the Clone Wars show and then Tales of the Empire, but originally she too was shot down brutally on Felucia. I will be making more videos about Episode 3, so stay tuned, and if you've not done so already, please be sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.